right. Well, let's just start laying on our backs. And knees bent, feet on the floor. We'll take a moment to find our alignment. So we'll start with the feet, making sure they're in line with one another, and with the sit bones. We're tapping the heels together and then maybe separating the feet so they're just a few inches apart. The tailbone is grounded down, little space under the lower back. Hip bones and pubic bone level with one another for a neutral pelvis and a neutral spine. We'll wrap the lower ribs, open across the chest, rest the arms heavily by the sides, and lengthen through the back of the neck. Let's just take a couple breaths here. We'll inhale and flare the ribs side to side. Exhale and wrap your ribs around your body without any movement of the spine or pelvis. We'll do a few breaths like this. Inhale, flaring the ribs side to side. If it's helpful, you can put your hands on the sides of your rib cage. Exhale, wrapping the ribs around the body. Inhale, ribs flare side to side. Exhale, wrapping those ribs inwards. One more breath like this. Inhale, ribs flare side to side. Exhale, wrapping the rib cage. Inhale again. And then on your next exhale, let's bring the low back down to the mat, tilting the pelvis. Inhale, come back to neutral, flaring the ribs side to side. Exhale, wrap your ribs around your body, push your lower back into the floor. Inhale, ribs flare side to side. Exhale, as you bring your low back to the floor, try to be light in your feet. Really pulling inwards with your tummy so that you are using those deep abdominal muscles to bring the low back to the floor each time. We're going to do 2 more of these, just moving with your breath. Taking your time, engaging your abdominal muscles for the movement, and trying to stay light in your feet. On your next inhale, come back to neutral. And then we'll exhale, bring the low back to the floor. Let's pull the pubic bone towards the ribs and lift your bottom about 1 inch off the ground. Obviously, weight goes into the feet here. We're really shifting to engage the abdominal muscles, and then come right back down to neutral with the pelvis and the spine. Exhale, bring your low back to the floor, tuck your pelvis, pull your pubic bone towards your ribs, and really engage your belly. Inhale, come back down to a neutral pelvis and a neutral spine. We're going to do a few more of these, focusing on warming up our abdominal muscles, really engaging the tummy, lifting the bottom a little bit, and then coming back down to neutral. Exhale, low back to the mat, long lower spine, engaged belly, and then coming back down to neutral. We'll do 2 more here, bringing the low back down to the floor, tuck your pelvis, and back to neutral. And 1 more. Low back to the ground, tuck your pelvis, engage your abs, and then bring it back down to neutral on the inhale. Next exhale, low back to the floor, same exact movement. Lengthen the lower back, engage your belly, but then keep going, pulling your heels towards your bottom, engaging the backs of your thighs to lift your hips all the way up into the air into a bridge. Engage your inner thighs, hold it, inhale, and then let's roll back down, lengthening the spine and trying to move each vertebrae one at a time as you lengthen down onto the floor, finding a neutral pelvis at the bottom. We'll inhale there. Exhale, low back to the ground, tuck your pelvis, engage your abs first, then start pulling your heels towards your bum or driving your knees forward, thinking about engaging the backs of the thighs to roll up the rest of the way. Hold at the top, engage your inner thighs, and then roll back down on your next exhale. Lengthening your spine, finding the connection to your belly again on the way back down to the mat, finding neutral at the bottom. Let's do 2 more here. Low back to the ground, tuck your pelvis, engage your abdominals, peel your spine off the mat, lifting your hips up. Hold at the top and roll it back down, 1 bone at a time, lengthening down onto the floor. Let's do 1 more, please. Inhale at neutral, exhale, low back to the floor, tuck your pelvis, peel your spine off the mat, lifting your hips up, engage the backs of your thighs, roll back down, 1 bone at a time, moving your spine. Coming all the way to a neutral pelvis and a neutral spine. Arms out to a T, palms up towards the ceiling, shoulders grounded, legs 1 at a time to tabletop. When your legs are in the air, let's go ahead and squeeze our legs together or towards one another if they don't touch. And then keeping your tailbone anchored down in that little space under your lower back, we're lifting one hip on the floor, off the floor. As the hip lifts, we'll take the legs out to the side onto a diagonal. And then engage your side body, pull your low back to the floor. So we're tilting the pelvis to come back to center and then finding neutral once you arrive there. Good. Inhale, go to the other side, lift your other hip. Legs go to the diagonal. Exhale, pull your lower back to the floor to come back to center and then find a neutral pelvis and spine. Let's do that again. Lifting one hip, legs go out to the side. Engaging your side body, pulling your low back down to the floor to bring your legs back to center and then coming to neutral. We want to feel our obliques work, lifting the hip. We should feel the side body engage. And then as we pull the low back to the ground, we want to again feel that side body work, finding neutral at center. Inhale in your rotation. Exhale, pull your lower back down to the floor and then come to neutral. Other side, lifting the hip. And exhale, bring your low back to the mat, legs to center, finding neutral once you're there. One more on each side. Rotate the lower body like a doorknob at the end of the spine. Pull your low back to the ground, engaging your strong obliques to bring the legs to center, find a neutral pelvis. Going the other way, lifting the hip and pulling the low back to the floor. Let's find a neutral pelvis and spine. We'll stay here for a moment. Let's drop one leg down towards the ground, toes hover above the floor. Exhale, switch the position of your legs. Inhale, pause. Exhale, we change the legs places. Inhale and then exhale, switch. Good. Stay here with this exercise, switching the legs, moving with your breath. Keeping your pelvis still and neutral, the spine is neutral, and we are pulling inwards a lot with our abdominal wall. So we're pulling the belly in the whole time, really focusing on using our lower abdominal muscles to keep the pelvis and spine still as the legs move in the air. If this is smaller, that's okay. Do what's right for your body. Ideally, we're just moving from the hip, so there's no movement at the knee. Let's do one more on each side. And then bringing both legs up to tabletop for just one moment, and then we'll put the feet back down onto the floor. Excellent. Let's go ahead and tap our heels together and make sure the feet are still aligned and just a couple inches apart in line with our sit bones. Squeeze your glutes and lift your hips up into the air, really engaging the seat, engage your inner thighs, and hold the lift in your bridge. Lift both heels up off of the ground and then tap both heels back down. So warming up through the ankles, calves, feet. We will lift up, putting weight into the big toes, tap down with the heels and lift up again. Keep breathing, nice deep breaths here. Trying to keep a continually consistent lift of your hips, letting the legs move in hip joint just a little bit so that the pelvis doesn't lift and lower as you lift and lower your heels. Lifting up, tapping down, stay with it. Feeling the backs of your thighs work to keep the lift, feeling your glutes work, moving your ankles, moving your feet, getting that nice work through the small muscles in your feet and the muscles that support stable ankles. 3 more. And 2. 1 more. Put your heels down. Lift your seat a little bit more and hold here. We're going to stay here for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, roll down, one bone at a time, lengthening your spine down onto the floor, and then finding a neutral pelvis at the bottom. Let's go ahead and put our hands underneath the lumbar spine. So just sliding the hands underneath the low back. Once your hands are there, we are pushing the low back gently into the fingers. So it's not smashing our hands, it's just feeling that gentle push into the hands. And once you're there, you should notice that your abdominal muscles should feel engaged. Let's bring the legs one at a time back up to tabletop. Pausing for just a moment to make sure that we still have that consistent pressure on the hands with the low back. Reach one leg straight forward, extending the leg out on a diagonal, and then bend your leg. Let's go ahead and exhale as the leg goes out, and inhale as we bend it. And keeping your hands with that gentle pressure from the low back the whole time. Making sure that we're not letting the pelvis or spine move. And with the hands under the lower back, we have that nice feedback so that we can feel our deep abs working. Hopefully we can maybe feel a little bit of the front of the belly working as well. And we're keeping the pelvis and spine totally still. Reaching one leg forward, bending it, other leg forward, bending it. If that's too much, we take the leg towards the ceiling or on less of a diagonal to decrease the weight and the leverage. Reaching one leg forward on the exhale, inhale, bend it. Exhale, other leg forward, inhale, bend. Let's do 3 more of these on each side. Gentle pressure on the hands. Good. 2 more, pulling inwards with the tummy. Let's do 1 more on each side. When you're even, bring it into center, put your feet down onto the floor, and let's go ahead and take the hands out from behind the back. Let's grab our little mini band. And we will put it on our legs just above the knees. I'm using a heavy resistance band, but use whatever you have that you like. Once you have the band there, we'll find a neutral pelvis and spine laying on the mat again. And we're going to make sure our feet are again in line with our sit bones. We're just going to take a moment here and open the knees, pushing the knees out to the sides. And then coming back to center. And as we go with this movement, opening the knees to the sides and then coming back to center, we're going to keep the pelvis very still. So our main objective here is pelvic stability rather than getting a lot of work in the glutes, because you probably won't feel very much here. We're warming up those smaller muscles, but the work should be primarily in the belly. So keep your tummy pulling inwards, that same sensation you had as you were pushing the small of the back into the hands, but we're not moving at all. We're just keeping that neutral pelvis and spine and the tummy pulling in as the legs move. Good. 2 more here. And 1 more. Coming to center, let's go ahead and roll up into a bridge again. So low back down to the ground, tuck your pelvis, peel your spine off the mat, lifting your hips up. Hold here. We're going to keep that lift, keep a level pelvis, and then same thing, pushing the knees out to the sides and then coming back to center. So pushing the knees out to the sides and coming to center. And we should feel the big muscles in the back of the booty working, and then the side of the bottom just a little bit here as we start to get a little bit more challenging with the work. So keeping that consistent lift, pushing the knees out to the sides, letting your feet maybe rock to that outer edge of the foot as you push out to the sides into that resistance band. Good. Let's do another 3. This is also totally fine to do without a band. And 2. Good. We'll do 1 more. Bring your knees back to center. Pause there. Roll down 1 bone at a time, coming all the way down and finding a neutral pelvis at the bottom. All right. We are going to turn over and make our way to standing. And we will have our, just be careful since you have a band around your legs. We are going to use a foam roller, or you can also use a chair or a couch or anything else that is in your vicinity that you would maybe like to use for balance. You can also use a wall. All right, we're going to take our feet a little bit wider today. So we're going just slightly wider than hip width apart, and our feet are pointing forward. So we have feet just wider than hips, toes forward, weight even through the feet. We'll bend our knees, bringing the knees forward over the toes. So we're going to drop the sit bones towards the floor to start, and we're getting this nice deep ankle flexion. Now let's go ahead and maybe sit the bum back, leaning forward with the chest just a little bit, and then squeeze your booty and stand back all the way up. Good. We're going to do that again. Knees forward over toes. Good. And then sitting your sit bones back, keeping your back flat and your belly pulling inwards. Squeeze your bum and stand up. Good. Knees forward over toes, sitting your sit bones back. Pause, engage your belly, and then squeeze your seat and stand back up. Good. We're going to do 3 more like this. Knees over toes. Find that deep ankle flexion. Pause. Good. Sit bones back. Tummy in. Squeeze your buns. Stand back up. Good. Knees forward over toes. Keep breathing. Trying to find that nice ankle flexion. Maybe adding that sitting back of the sit bones, leaning a little forward with the chest, pulling your belly in and standing up. Good. 1 more here. Knees forward over toes. Hold there. Sit your sit bones back. Tummy pulling inwards, standing back up. All right, we're going to go ahead and lift up now onto our tippy toes. So we're not changing the position of the feet, but we're lifting up so that we've got our heels off the floor and the weight biased towards the big toes. We're going to do the same thing here. Use the wall, use your foam roller, whatever you need for balance, bending your knees, and then sitting back maybe a little bit. And then let's go ahead and stand back up. Good. So knees forward over toes. We're trying to get that ankle movement. So let your ankles move. And then sitting back a little bit, really working that balance. Pull your tummy inwards and stand back up. We're going to do 3 more of these. So knees forward over toes. Take your time. Take a moment to notice that you're moving your ankles. Pull your tummy in. Keep that little push out into the band with your knees. And then maybe sitting back at the sit bones, standing back up. Good. All right, 2 more. Knees forward over toes. Good. Maybe pausing there, check in, make sure you're moving your ankles, sitting back, pull your tummy in, use those muscles for balance, stand back up. Good. And knees forward over toes, holding that lift of your heels. I know this should feel challenging. Sitting back, pull your belly in. Good. And stand back up. We're going to do 1 more. Knees forward over toes, tummy in, sitting back. And squeeze your buns, stand up, put your heels down. All right, we're going to bring 1 foot forward and 1 foot back. And we should feel some tension on the band around the legs. Let's go ahead and bring the forward knee so it's stacked pretty much over the ankle. And then we'll bring the back leg. So we're up on the tippy toes with the back leg. And we're going to bring that knee down towards the floor. And we're going to come down as fairly low. So we really want to start to feel the quads and that back leg work. We want some deep flexion in that back ankle, a lot of stability in that forward leg. Let's go ahead and straighten up with the back leg, straighten with the front leg. Going back forward, forward knee over ankle, bending the back leg down towards the ground, pause. Good. And then let's stand all the way back up. Good. Forward knee just right over the ankle, back knee towards the floor. Good. And standing up. Good. 2 more like this, knee over ankle, bending the back knee towards the ground. Pause. Stand up. Good. 1 more like this, knee over ankle, dropping the back knee towards the ground. We're going to hold here. Good. And we're going to drop it a little lower and lift it up a little bit. So just little drop, little lift. We should start to feel our quads here. Drop and lift, drop and lift. Good. We're going to do 3 and 2 and 1. Good. Stand all the way up. Let's switch the feet. So we have other leg forward, other leg back. We're going to start on the tippy toes with the back leg. Forward knee comes right over the ankle. Bring that back knee down towards the ground. And then we'll straighten both legs and stand up. Make any adjustments if you need them. We're going to bring the forward knee over the ankle. Drop the back knee towards the floor, taking it low. And then pausing for a moment. And standing back up all the way, both legs, forward knee over the ankle, dropping the back knee towards the floor. Pausing for a moment, standing back up, both legs straight. Forward knee over the ankle, dropping the back knee towards the floor. And standing back up. Good. Forward knee over the ankle, dropping the back knee, pausing, engaging the quads, standing up. Good. One last one. Knee over ankle, dropping the back knee. And standing back all the way up. All right, dropping the knee down, forward knee over the ankle. Let's pause here. We're going to drop it down and lift it up. Good. Drop down and up. Excellent. Stay with it. We should feel those quads working. Good. Drop it down, lift it up. 2 more. And 1 more. Stand all the way up. Let's turn so that we are have our feet nice and wide and facing forward. So feet are much wider than our hips now, and our toes are slightly turned out. We're going to bend our knees, bringing the knees forward over the toes and thinking about taking your sit bones straight towards the floor while staying upright with your torso. Push those knees out to the sides into your band and then stand up nice and tall. Good. So knees track over the toes, maybe going past them. Sit bones go straight towards the ground. We're pushing out into that band and then stand back up. Good. We want to start to feel those side butt muscles working. Knees go over toes, pushing out into that band. Sit bones straight down towards the floor, torso upright and standing up. Good. And knees forward over toes, sit bones towards the floor. Good. Pause and stand up. We're going to do 4 more of these. Knees forward over toes, sit bones towards the floor, dropping them straight down. Torso stays lifted. Squeeze, stand up. Good. And knees forward over toes, sit bones towards the floor and standing. Good. 2 more. Knees forward over toes, sit bones straight down towards the ground and standing. We're going to do 1 more here. Knees forward over toes. Good, and standing up. Excellent. All right, let's bring those legs back together and we're going back to the mat. All just come straight to laying on our sides. Once you're laying on your side, head resting on the arm, shoulders and hips stacked, waist lifting up off of the floor, and we'll bring our knees so that they're pretty much right in front of the hips. The feet are together on the mat. Keeping the lift from the waist and the tummy pulling in for stability, we'll open and close the top leg. Good. We are starting to work it even more focused on these side butt muscles. So staying with it. If this is too much, feel free to ditch the band. Good. Keep it going. Making sure that we're not tilting or moving the pelvis to get any bigger range of motion. If you feel like you're unable to move at all with the band, then maybe get a lighter one or get rid of it. All right, we're gonna do 1 more here. Lower it down, bring your knees further from your chest. So we're going a little further back, hold there, open and close. Good. Pelvis really still, focused on the side of the bottom. Good. Excellent. 3 more. And 2, hand on the hip can be a nice feedback for whether or not the pelvis is staying steady. After that last one, knees come as far back as you can get them. So they're pretty much just in line with the body, but the knees are still bent. We're going to do the same exercise here. This one often has a smaller range of motion, and that's fine. Open and close. Open and close. Keep it going. Excellent. Breathing. Let's do 1 more here. Lower it down. And then we're going to take both legs all the way straight, squeeze them together and lift them up off the mat and hold there. We're going to make sure we're feeling our obliques, our side body working rather than anything in the lower back. If you feel anything in the lower back, top hip goes back or legs go further forward. Let's lift those legs higher, pulling the hip bone towards the ribs and then lowering it down. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. Pulling your belly inwards, keeping the focus on the oblique abdominals, pulling it in with your tummy the whole time to support the lumbar spine. Good. Bending the torso sideways. Trying to keep the feet, calves, knees, inner thighs squeezing towards one another. Good. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. Lower it down. We'll come on up to a seat. Let's go to the other side, legs to the other end of the mat. Knees out in front. Keeping the hips stacked, the shoulders stacked, the waist lifting up off of the ground. And then let's go ahead and open and close. Keep breathing. Keep that nice steady pelvis. Drawing inwards with the belly button the whole time. Staying focused on those smaller muscles in the side of the bottom. And we're going to do 3 more on this position. Good. 1 more. Lower it down. Let's bring the knees back just a little bit. And same exercise here. Open and close. Good. Let's do 2 more. And 1 more. Nice steady hips. Lower it down. Bring your knees all the way back so they're pretty much in line with your body. Knees are still bent. We'll open and close here. Still focused on keeping the pelvis nice and still. Good. Making sure that we keep that engagement of the belly to stabilize the pelvis and spine. Maybe noticing if we feel this in slightly a different place than the previous 2 exercises. Last one here, lower it down, both legs all the way straight, reaching long through the legs, and let's lift them right up to a hover right away. Making sure that the work is in the side body and not the lower back, making any adjustments, top hip back or legs forward if needed. Hand can be on the floor, taking it wherever you'd like, lifting the legs higher, lower it down. Exhale, lift, inhale, lower. Keeping the legs, feet, knees, squeezing together the whole time. Tummy pulling in. Good. Supporting your spine with your deep abdominal muscles. Good. Let's do 3 and 2. 1 more, lower it down, and then let's all go ahead and take the band off of our legs. You can put that off to the side and grab your foam roller. Janet, if you guys don't have 2, you can use a pillow or a yoga block or something like that. We're just going to put it underneath the sacrum to lift the hips a little bit. So foam roller behind the legs, lifting the hips up. We have the foam roller on the sacrum. So just below the spine, it should be comfortable and not on your bum where you feel like you could slide off, and not on your spine where it might be uncomfortable. Let's take the legs up to tabletop from there. We'll straighten the legs up towards the ceiling, turning your feet out so you're externally rotated from the hips. Let's open the legs to a straddle and then reach your legs back up towards the ceiling. We'll inhale as we open the legs, going to a straddle. Exhale, reach up towards the sky. We are going to try to keep our knees very straight. And really keep the attention on the inner thighs, working and lengthening at the same time. So we open the legs to lengthen those muscles, and then we reach towards the sky to engage them with that length. Opening on the inhale, exhale, reaching towards the ceiling. Good, let's keep this going. We're doing 3 more of these. Good, and 2, opening and reaching up. We'll do 1 more. Reaching towards the sky with the legs. Bring your feet to parallel. We're straightening our knees. Let's go ahead and take 1 leg forward, 1 leg back. We're going 2 pulses and little scissor kicks. Up to the ceiling, switch, pulse, pulse. Up to the sky, switch, pulse, pulse. And up, switch, pulse, pulse. We're aiming to make a V with our legs as we're moving. So each time we might go a little bigger. So just feel it out. Make sure that your hamstrings are happy and that they're starting to feel warmer before we go any bigger. And as they start to feel more warm, maybe we just take it a little bit bigger with each repetition, feeling what the end range is for our hamstrings here. And it's very active. It should feel like your muscles are working through the backs of your legs. Keep breathing. We switch, pulse, pulse, up to the ceiling, switch, pulse, pulse. Good, keep it going. Strong hamstrings, strong quads. The fronts of your legs should be working to help straighten your knees. Pull inwards with your tummy. We're going to do 3 more on each side. And 2. We'll do 1 more on each side, and then both legs up to the sky. Let's go ahead and bend our knees. Drop 1 leg down towards the floor. We're back to our leg changes. Pull inwards with the tummy. Switch your legs. Good. Inhale, pause. Exhale, switch. We can have a bigger range of motion here. So maybe taking advantage of that and seeing how far you can drop that leg down, extending through the front of the hip just a little. Good. And inhale, pause. Exhale, switch. Good. Feeling your abdominal muscles. Work to stabilize your pelvis. Pulling inwards with the tummy. Good. We're going to do just 1 more on each side. Bring both legs to tabletop. We're going to take both legs a little bit further from the chest and then bring them back to wherever you started. So both legs away from the chest and both legs back in. And maybe this is just an inch where you're feeling what happens in your abdominal muscles as your legs move an inch further from your chest and then an inch back in. Maybe we're going a little bigger and taking the legs a little further from the chest. And maybe we're taking the toes all the way to the floor and feeling the work that happens in the belly there. Whichever range of motion you're doing, I want you to really stay focused on what's happening with your abdominal muscles and keep your tummy pulling inwards towards your spine the whole time. Good. Let's do 3 more of these. And 2. Good. We'll do 1 more. Coming up, hold it. Let's go ahead and put the feet down onto the floor. And then we're going to scooch the foam roller out from underneath the bottom. And let's go ahead and put it off to the side. Once the foam roller is out of the way, let's go ahead and grab our weights. Hang on your back. Let's bring those elbows nice and wide. We're taking the palms towards the feet, shoulder blades grounded down, neutral pelvis. Reach your arms towards the ceiling and then bend your elbows wide. Reaching up and bending. Keep it going, moving your elbows, getting the work in your biceps and across your chest. Bending the elbows wide and then reaching the arms towards the ceiling. Excellent. Keep it going, reaching up and bending, keeping your tailbone anchored and that neutral pelvis. Good. Let's do another 3. and 2. One more, reach your arms towards the ceiling, pause there, palms facing each other, legs one at a time, up to tabletop, hold there, pull inwards with your tummy, keep your tailbone anchored down, bend your elbows so that the weights come towards the crown of your head. And then let's go ahead and straighten the arms all the way and bend them. Straightening the arms and bending. Let's make sure that we're keeping the shoulder joint very still. We're also just holding our legs in tabletop. So notice the weight in your abdominals. Pull inwards with your belly button. Our focus is on our triceps, but we're adding that extra little bit of abdominal work. Good. As we straighten and bend the arms, we want to make sure that we're not letting the whole arm move. We're keeping that angle of the upper arm the same the whole time as the lower arm moves in space and the elbow straightens and bends. And we're focused on that underside of the upper arm. Good. 2 more here. And 1 more, straighten, bring your arms all the way up to the ceiling. Let's go ahead and put your feet down onto the floor. We're gonna lift the head and shoulders, bring the weights by your legs, straighten your legs, and roll up to a seat. Stack your spine once you're there. Turn your palms up towards the ceiling and bend and straighten your arms. Good. Trying to keep those elbows nice and lifted out in front of your shoulders. But if that feels like it's too much, we can always drop it down a little bit. Let's also try to work our full range of motion without locking the elbows out. So if you feel like you're getting into that I'm locking my elbows out stage, then we're going to go just to a micro bend. Good. Let's do another 4 of these, sitting tall. Let's check our posture. Engage the upper back, lift up through the crown of your head and ground down through your sit bones. Good. 1 more. And then let's bring those elbows in by the sides, put your weights down on the floor, bring your hands so that they're touching the back of your head, fingertips pushing into the back of your head and head pushing back into your fingertips. Sit up even taller, lift up through the crown of your head, ground your legs, ground your sit bones. Let's twist from the waist 2 pulses and then come to center. Exhale, twist 2 pulses, inhale, center. We're rotating from the waist, lifting up through the crown of the head and keeping our whole lower body quiet and grounded on the floor. Breathing, exhale into your rotation, inhale, center. Good. Focusing on your obliques, on your side body working, but on staying as tall as you can the whole time. Let's do 2 more on each side and 1 more on each side. Coming to center, drop your hands, circle your shoulders, both directions, just a few circles. Shrug your shoulders up to your ears, and then pull them down your back. Let's go ahead and turn over onto our hands and knees. Hands under shoulders, knees under hips. We'll just take some circles to get some fluid moving in the wrists. Just going, circling, keeping the hands nice and grounded. 3 circles in each direction. Once you've done your circles, we'll center with the shoulders over the wrists, grip the floor with your fingers. And then let's go ahead and tuck the tail, separate the shoulders on the back just a little bit so shoulder blades have a little space between them. And then let's step the feet back for our plank. We're going to step back 1 foot and then the other and hold. Nice deep breaths. If a plank is challenging, we can always keep our knees on the floor, but do the version that's right for you. If you feel like you need to come onto your forearms to be more stable, that is great. Do that and listen to your body. Keep your belly lifting up the whole time. Lift up from the fronts of your thighs. Try to keep your neck in line with your spine. I know the head can get really heavy, so making sure that we're looking at the ground, maybe between our first fingers, and breathing, lifting from the belly button, keeping strong with your abdominals. We are so close to being done. But at any point you need to put your knees down or lift your hips a little higher, please do. Keep that broad space between your shoulder blades, pushing the ground away, lifting up from the tummy for 4, 3, 2, 1. Knees down, sit back and stretch through your shoulders. All right, let's come all the way forward and lay down onto our bellies. Once we're laying on our tummies, arms come by the sides, and we're squeezing our arms into the sides of our legs. So let's keep all this good arm work going by pushing the whole arms into the sides of the body. Suck in your belly button just a little bit, tuck your chin, and then lift your chest on your next inhale. Exhale, lower it down. Inhale, lift. Think about lengthening your spine. Exhale, lower. We want to keep the neck very still, feeling like we're really reaching forward through the crown of the head, and that we're putting the work in the upper back. So we want to feel those muscles that run up the spine between the shoulder blades, working to extend through the upper spine. Pulling inwards with your belly, legs resting on the floor. Again, check your arms are still squeezing into the sides of your body. Should be tiring for the arms. 3 more. And 2, lifting the chest, lengthening the spine. Good, 1 more. Lower it down. Let's go ahead and sit back to 1 more child's pose just to let that lower back take a moment. And then we'll come forward and onto our forearms. So elbows go down onto the mat and knees stay underneath the hips. Let's keep that push. So we're not going to let our shoulder blades slump towards one another. They stay broad on the back. The neck stays in line with the spine. The tummy's pulling in. In fact, let's even round the low back just a little bit. And then we're straightening one leg all the way behind with the toes pointed so that we can rest the top of the foot on the floor. And then let's go ahead and lift that leg up. We're going to lift it up only as high as we can without arching the back, and then lower it down. So we're going to lift and then lower, tapping the top of the foot to the ground, lifting up, lowering down. This is for glute max. This is the big muscle in the back of the bottom. And we want to make sure that we're keeping the spine and the pelvis totally still to maximize the work in that muscle. Keeping the tummy pulling inwards, we get the added benefit of working the abs for stability, keeping the shoulders broad. We're working all those shoulder stabilizers as well. Good. Lifting up, lowering it down. Staying strong in your seat. Lifting up, lowering it down, keep it going. Really strong from the glutes. Excellent. We're going to do 3 more. And 2. Let's do 1 more. Lower it down, bring that knee underneath you. We're going to take the other leg back. So other leg straight out behind, top of the foot on the floor. Check with your abs, make sure they're still lifting up and supporting your spine. And we're going to lift that leg up and lower. And again, we don't want to lift any higher than we can with the pelvis and spine staying still. So I might be able to go a lot bigger if I arch my back, but that's not the goal. We want to make sure we're staying with all that good stability and keeping it small and controlled. Good. Building that active extension in the hip joint. Excellent. Moving with your breath. Exhale, lift. Inhale, lower. Taking your time, feeling that strength in your shoulders. Good. 3 more. And 2. 1 more. Lower it down. Let's go ahead and come down so the hips are on the floor, but the forearms are still on the mat. So now we're in this position where we're in a little bit of a mini cobra. And the legs can be separated a little bit on the mat for comfort. We're going to tuck the tailbone a little bit. So take your tailbone towards the floor by lifting your belly up off the mat. Think about pulling your shoulder blades down towards the ground and opening your collarbones. So now we want to start feeling the upper back stretch. We want the upper back to be stretching forward, looking either at the forward edge of your mat or maybe just slightly up from that. We're going to really make sure that we're keeping the neck in line with the spine as much as we can here. So pull your shoulder blades down your back, pull your elbows slightly towards your belly, lift your belly button up and tuck your tail. We should feel some work happening here, especially in the abs and the upper back. Yeah, stay with it. Let's go ahead and squeeze the bum and lift one leg off of the ground. We're going to hold that leg lifting from the hip. So knee is off the floor, lifting that leg. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower it down, go to the other leg. Lift it off the mat from the hip. Hold. Good. For 4, 3, 2, 1. Back to the first leg. Lift it up. Hold it up. Pull your tummy in to support your back. Pull your shoulder blades down your spine. Lift your belly, tuck your tail. Hold it and lower. Other side, lifting the leg from the hip. Tuck your tail, lift your belly, pull your shoulder blades down your back. Good, and lower. All right, let's pause for just a moment. Tuck your tail more, lift that belly. Really feel like you're engaged in the abs and that you're not arching your lower back, that instead the arch is getting to go in the upper back. So pulling those shoulder blades down. And then let's go ahead and release all of that, and we'll sit back to one more child's pose just to stretch out through the lumbar spine. Coming back to the hands and knees. Let's go ahead and actually sit back. Let's grab our foam roller for this one last exercise. We're going to put it right in front of our knees. And then we'll go ahead and bring the hands forward, step one knee up onto the foam roller, and then the other. We're going right below the knees on the top of the shin bone. And then we'll step the hands a little bit further forward. So we're in this really awkward position. And then we'll bring the shoulders forward so that they're over the wrists. So now we should be almost in a knee plank. We'll take the toes off of the floor, pull your knees in towards your chest, engaging your abdominal muscles to get there, and then take them back to your starting position. Tuck your tail, lift your tummy, pull your knees in towards your chest on the exhale. Inhale, take them back away. Good. Exhale, pull it in. Inhale, reaching back. Good. Exhale, pull the knees in towards your chest. Inhale, take them back away. Good. We're going to do another 3. Strong abdominals. And 2. Extend. We'll do one more. Pulling in. Bringing the foam roller back to just below the knees. Walk your hands back. And let's go ahead and take the knees off of the foam roller. And we're going to just take a little roll. So we're going to bring the foam roller to the fronts of the thighs. And we'll just go forward and back here, getting a little massage on the fronts of the legs. And then we'll go ahead and bring our knees to the floor. Let's turn around so that we have the foam roller behind us. And we'll put the foam roller just below the shoulder blades on the upper back, bringing your hands behind your head, interlacing your fingers, so that we're supporting the head and neck with the hands. Let's keep the booty on the floor and arch the upper back over the foam roller, coming into a little bit of back extension, and then lifting it back up, pulling in with your belly. So arching through the upper back on your inhale, and exhale, lift it back up, tummy pulling inwards. Good. Inhale, arching the upper back. Exhale, lift it back up, bum heavy. Good. Inhale, arching the upper back. Exhale, lifting up. Good. And we're just going to do 2 more of these. Inhale, arching the upper back. Exhale, lifting the chest. Good, one more. Inhale, arching the upper back. Exhale, lifting the shoulders. Let's go ahead and lift the shoulder blade or lift the bottom up and roll on your upper and mid back, taking a little massage through your upper and mid back muscles. Staying in areas where you have good support for your spine. Good. And we'll just do just a couple more forward and back here. Go ahead and put the bottom down, reach forward, grab your thighs, pull yourself up to a seat. Bring the soles of your feet together, knees out to the sides. Let's reach up towards the ceiling, reaching up with your fingers, lifting your shoulders towards your ears. And then we'll just fold forward, taking a little stretch through the back. Let's just take a couple nice deep breaths here, feeling the breath in the body, moving anything that wants to move. Just feeling how your breath feels, noticing how your body feels after moving this morning. Ground the sit bones and stack the spine. Coming up one bone at a time to your tallest seats. That is our class for today. Thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday and you have a great weekend.